Welcome. Before we begin, take a moment to breathe. Close your eyes. Let the world fade away. Let the noise quiet down. This is not just another video. This is a reminder of who you really are. You are not here to get something. You are here to remember something. And that remembrance is this: everything you desire already exists within you. You are not separated from your wealth, your health, your love, or your purpose. You are only separated by belief. And today, we remove that veil. Today, we open the door to the unseen. We walk into the invisible, not with fear, but with faith. There is a deeper part of you, untouched by the world, unshaken by circumstance. That part of you is eternal. It's divine. It knows no lack. It lives in the end. It knows only fulfillment. And it waits for you to recognize it. The mystics, the sages, the prophets, they didn't speak about a God outside of you. They spoke of the I am within you, the silent presence, the pure awareness that when assumed with faith becomes flesh. So right now, I invite you to drop the identity of trying to manifest, of waiting for life to change. Let that version of you dissolve like mist in morning light. Instead, step into the energy of someone who already has it. Step into the end. Feel it. Taste it. Live it in your imagination. Because imagination is not a game. It is the creative power of the universe waiting for your command. Can you feel that? That subtle shift, that calm confidence rising from within? That is the real you awakening. You see, nothing is ever manifested by striving. Everything is manifested by assuming. So before we speak any further, let's create a new inner posture. Sit up tall, breathe again, deeply, let go of trying, let go of hoping, and begin to feel as if what you desire is already yours. This is not delusion. This is not make-believe. This is the spiritual law that governs the universe, and it works for those bold enough to believe without seeing. Neville Goddard once said, "To assume a state with conviction is to awaken it into being." That means right now. You don't have to wait. You only need to assume. Not tomorrow, not when the evidence appears, but now. Now is the moment of power. So I invite you to declare silently in your heart, I am it. I have it. It is mine. Let this be your new truth. Let this be the first brick in the foundation of your new life. And as we continue this journey, carry this inner energy, the feeling of fulfillment, the presence of completion, the knowing that everything is already done. You are not trying to manifest. You are remembering who you are, and from that remembrance, all things will come. Now, let's begin. Let's talk about the core of it all, the teaching that has transformed thousands of lives, the law of assumption. At first glance, the phrase sounds simple: assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. But beneath those words lies one of the most powerful spiritual laws that governs all creation. The law of assumption teaches this: whatever you assume to be true, with feeling, belief, and persistence, must reflect itself in your external world. Not maybe, not sometimes, always. This law doesn't operate on luck or chance. It doesn't reward the good and punish the bad. It responds only to assumption, the deep inner knowing that something is already yours before your senses confirm it. Neville Goddard was very clear about this. It is not what you want that you attract. You attract what you believe to be true. Let that settle in for a moment. Desire alone is not enough. Desire, in fact, can keep your manifestation away if you stay in a state of wanting. Because wanting affirms lack, and the universe mirrors that. But assumption is different. Assumption says it is done. Assumption walks as though the wish has already been fulfilled. It doesn't look at the current reality and panic. It doesn't ask how or when. It calmly and boldly claims the desire in imagination and lives from that inner truth. You see, the outer world is not cause, it is effect. And the inner world, your imagination, your beliefs, your assumptions, they are the cause. So the law of assumption invites you to live differently, to think differently, to feel differently, starting now. Let me ask you this. If you truly believed that your dream life was already yours, how would you feel? How would you walk? How would you speak? How would you wake up in the morning? Would there be worry? Would there be stress? Or would there be peace, gratitude, confidence, joy? That's your sign. That feeling is the assumption, and that assumption is the seed from which the fruit must grow. There is no waiting period in the spiritual world. The moment you assume something in consciousness, it begins to take shape. Your job is to hold that assumption, no matter what the outer world says. This is not about pretending. This is about knowing. Knowing that imagination is the womb of creation. Knowing that every reality already exists in the infinite field, and the one you align with in consciousness is the one that will become visible. The law of assumption is not about forcing, it's not about hustle, it's not about waiting for a sign, it is about becoming. So ask yourself today, what am I assuming about my life? What am I assuming about my worth, about my finances, my relationships, my future? Because those assumptions are not passive thoughts, they are commands written in the language of consciousness. And the universe is always listening. If you don't like your current reality, don't fight it. Simply change the assumption. Step into the state of the person who already has what you seek. Live from that state internally, and the world around you will shift to match it. That is the mystery, that is the law, that is the power you've always had, waiting to be remembered. So remember it now. It's yours, and it will be. You don't get what you want, you get what you are. Now pause for a moment and truly let that settle into your heart. We've all been taught from a young age to want more money, to want love, to want success, healing, peace, happiness. But wanting, by its very nature, declares this: I don't have it yet. And when that becomes your dominant state, when your heart is filled with longing, waiting, and reaching, you unconsciously remain in the vibration of lack. This is why so many people want their desires for years, even decades, and yet never experience the manifestation. Because the universe, the mirror of consciousness, does not respond to begging. It responds to being. Neville Goddard taught this with incredible clarity. He said, to be conscious of being poor while praying for riches is to be rewarded with that which you are conscious of being, poverty. You see, consciousness is the only reality. And the secret is this: the moment you become the version of you who already has it, the world around you must align. If you want to manifest wealth, you must assume the inner posture of someone who is already wealthy. Not just in imagination, but in feeling, in attitude, in energy. You must speak differently. You must walk differently. You must move through your life with the confidence of one who is no longer seeking because they have become. If you want love, you must first become love. You must assume the energy of someone already adored, cherished, chosen. Not needy, not lacking, not desperate, but full. Overflowing, in fact, with the joy of being already loved. The law of assumption asks you to become the thing before it is seen, to clothe yourself inwardly in the reality you wish to experience, even when the 3D world hasn't caught up yet. This is not delusion. This is divine intelligence. This is how creation works, because all things are created twice, first in the unseen, then in the seen. So, what does this mean for you right now? It means your life can shift the moment you shift your identity. When you stop saying, I want this, and begin saying, I am this, the entire energy field around you reorganizes. Why? Because the universe always reflects your assumed state of being, not your words, not your effort, not even your wishes, only your consciousness. You don't get what you think you deserve. You get what you assume yourself to be. The poor man who assumes wealth will soon walk into it. The lonely woman who assumes love will soon see it take form. The sick who assume health will feel life return to their bodies. But the one who prays while believing they are still separate from the outcome, they will continue to experience separation. You are not here to chase your desires. You are here to become them. So the question now is not, how do I get what I want? The real question is, who do I need to become in consciousness to receive it? Step into that version of you. Walk in it. Feel it. Own it. Because the truth is simple. You don't get what you want. You get what you are. There is a doorway that leads from the unseen to the seen. A sacred, silent gateway within you that holds the power to shape your world. That doorway is imagination. To the logical mind, imagination is often dismissed as fantasy, play, or fiction. But to the mystic, to those who understand the hidden laws of the universe, imagination is the spiritual center of all creation. It is not an escape from reality. It is the blueprint of reality. Neville Goddard said it best. Man is all imagination, and God is man and exists in us and we in him. The eternal body of man is the imagination, and that is God himself. Think about that. Your imagination is divine. It is God in motion. It is the creative force that brings form to the formless. And what you continually impress upon it with belief, feeling, and repetition will become your world. Every building you see, every invention, every piece of art, every new idea began as a mental image, born in imagination. Nothing comes into this world unless it is first conceived within. And so your inner world is not separate from the outer world. It is the cause of it. Imagination is where your new identity begins. It's where you practice living in the end. It's where you create your future with clarity and feeling before the senses have any proof. So let me ask you now, what are you imagining consistently? Are you imagining lack, fear, delay, or are you imagining from the end, assuming the wish fulfilled and feeling it real? Imagination is always working, whether you use it consciously or not. The problem for most people is not that they can't imagine. It's that they are imagining the wrong things. Outcomes they fear, scenarios they dread, the continuation of old patterns. But once you awaken to this truth that imagination creates reality, you are no longer a victim of circumstances. You become a spiritual creator, shaping your world with inner vision and emotional faith. Neville taught a powerful method called living in the end. He said, dare to assume you are what you want to be, and you shall compel every circumstance to conform to that assumption. How do you do that? You go into imagination. You relax your body. You quiet your mind, and you enter the state, the feeling of already being the person you wish to become. You hear the conversations you would hear. You feel the emotions you would feel. You see the scenes vividly, repeatedly, until they feel natural. This is not wishful thinking. This is conscious creation. What you feel to be true in your imagination and persist in will harden into fact. So no matter what your outer world says, no matter how long it has been the same, you can close your eyes right now and step into a new dimension of self, a reality where it is already done, already yours, already finished. That is where your power lies, not in the world, but within, in the sacred chamber of imagination. So protect it, feed it, use it. Because imagination is the gateway to everything. There comes a moment in every spiritual journey where you must make a decision to stop hesitating, to stop second guessing, to stop asking, will this work for me? And instead, to boldly claim your desire as already yours. Because this is the missing piece for so many. They assume their desire halfway. They try it for a day or two. They test it like an experiment. But manifestation is born from hesitation. It's born from inner certainty. Neville Goddard said, confidence in yourself as the operant power determines the outer conditions of your life. In other words, you are the cause. You are the power. And your results are not based on the outer world. They are based on your ability to stand in faith when everything in the 3D says, it's not here yet. This is where boldness comes in. You must dare to assume your desire with total inner conviction. You must stop looking for confirmation and start walking in completion. Ask yourself now, if you knew your manifestation was guaranteed, how would you act today? Would you keep begging? Would you keep asking the same question over and over again? Or would you say, it is mine, it is done, it is finished, and then move through your day with peace? You see, boldness is not loud. It doesn't mean forcing anything in the outer world. It is a quiet inner knowing, a divine defiance that says, I do not need the world to show me the result. I already have it in consciousness, and that is enough. This is what separates dreamers from creators. Many people desire, but few people claim. To claim is to accept, not as a possibility, but as a fact in the unseen. When you say, I am wealthy, even while your bank account says otherwise, when you say, I am loved, even if no one calls or texts you, you are not lying. You are speaking spiritual truth before physical proof. And that's the key. Your inner world must move first. You do not wait for the outer world to shift before you change your identity. You change your identity, and the world catches up. That's the power of bold assumption. Neville taught that your assumption, once made, will persist and rearrange everything to match itself, even if it takes time. But it only works if you stay loyal to your assumption. No doubting, no back and forth, no checking the mirror of reality for evidence every hour. Be bold, be firm, be immovable. This isn't arrogance, it's divine confidence. It's the kind of faith Jesus spoke of when he said, when you pray, believe that you have received it, and it shall be yours. Not believe it's coming, but believe you have already received. So today, make a sacred decision. Stop waiting. Stop asking. Tune. Declare. Live from the end. Say with power, I am what I desire to be. I don't wish for it. I am it. Feel the energy shift. Feel the reality settle in. Because once you claim it boldly, with no doubt, the universe must bow to your inner conviction. It must reflect the truth you have accepted. You are not waiting. You are walking in it. It is yours because you assumed it so. Let's now bring this mystical truth to life. Not in theory, but through real transformation, because nothing awakens faith like witnessing what's possible when someone dares to assume boldly. These are not stories of people who tried the law. These are stories of people who lived from the end, who claimed what they wanted as already theirs and watched the world shape itself around their inner state. One of the most well-known stories Neville Goddard shared was about a woman who desired a new home, a beautiful apartment in New York. But she had no money, no clear path, and no logical reason to expect it to happen. Still, she persisted in imagination. Every night before bed, she would sit quietly and feel herself standing at the window of that apartment. She imagined touching the curtains, seeing the exact view she desired, feeling the floor beneath her feet. She didn't beg. She didn't wait. She assumed boldly and faithfully that it was already hers. Weeks later, by what the world would call coincidence, she was offered that very apartment by a friend, rent-free for the first few months, with an option to buy later. What others call luck, she knew was the law in action. Other men wanted a promotion, not just any promotion, but a position many told him he'd never get. He was seen as too inexperienced, too quiet, too unqualified. But he didn't listen to the outer world. Instead, every day, he sat in silence and imagined himself sitting at the new desk, signing documents with his new title, feeling the respect and responsibility of that role. He assumed it as done. He felt it real. 3 months later, his boss was unexpectedly transferred, and the company, against all odds, chose him for the role. He hadn't said a word to anyone. He simply assumed it was his. These aren't fairy tales. These are the natural outworkings of spiritual law. And the only thing that separated these people from those who struggled was the ability to remain loyal to their assumption. They didn't entertain doubt. They didn't let time shake them. They didn't need to know how. They just knew. They lived in the end. What's beautiful about these stories is this. They don't belong to just a few. This is available to anyone who dares to believe. Right now, people around the world, from students to single mothers, from entrepreneurs to artists, are using this law. They are stepping into the version of themselves that already has what they desire. Some see results instantly. Some wait weeks or months. But the law never fails. It only asks that you persist in the assumption. If you assume you are healed and you hold to that assumption, healing will come. If you assume you are wealthy and you feel it real, wealth will come. If you assume you are loved deeply, completely, love will appear. So today, ask yourself, what would the story of your life look like if you lived from the end? What miracle could you create if you refused to doubt? Because you're writing your story now, not with effort, but with assumption. Let these stories inspire you. Let them remind you, you are not excluded. You are not behind. You are only one assumption away from the life you truly desire. So assume it, feel it, live in it, and just like them, you too will transform. If there is one thing you must understand deeply, one truth that, when fully accepted, will free you forever, it's this. There is no outside resistance, no force working against you, no one stopping you, only your own disbelief. The only real block between you and the life you desire is your failure to believe that it is already done. Let's be clear. The universe is not withholding your manifestation. God is not testing you. Fate is not delaying you. It is your own inner state, your own hesitation to assume the truth of your desire that keeps it from you. Neville Goddard said, "Stop trying to change the world, since it is only the mirror. Man's attempt to change the world by force is as fruitless as breaking a mirror in the hope of changing his face. Leave the mirror and change your face. Leave the world alone and change your concept of yourself." What does that mean? It means the world, you see, is only a reflection, a mirror of your beliefs, assumptions, and feelings. If the mirror shows lack, it's not the mirror's fault. You don't fix it by changing the reflection. You fix it by changing within. You say, "But I really want it." And yes, you may want it with your whole heart, but that's not enough. Desire is the starting point, but belief, assumption, is the engine that brings it into form. You must go beyond wanting, beyond hoping, and enter the state of already having. And that's where most people stumble. They say, "How can I believe it's done when I don't see it yet?" But that's not faith. That's reacting to the senses. And your senses were never meant to be the guide. They are followers, not leaders. Imagination leads, assumption leads, faith leads, then the outer world follows. The real test is in those quiet moments when nothing seems to be changing, when your current reality screams the opposite of your desire. Will you still assume, will you still believe it's already done? Because the moment you truly believe, the manifestation has no choice but to appear. It becomes inevitable. It must come by law. That's why I never call it a spiritual law, because it's not dependent on your situation, age, background, or current struggle. The only requirement is your willingness to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and hold it, regardless of what your eyes see. So ask yourself now, where have you been waiting instead of assuming? Where have you been doubting instead of declaring? Where have you been postponing your belief, waiting for a sign to appear? That's the block. The moment you say, "I'll believe it when I see it," you've already delayed your miracle. But the moment you say, I see it now, in my mind, in my imagination, and I feel it as already mine, that's when everything begins to move. So today, drop the doubt. Refuse to entertain lack. Step out of hoping and into knowing. The bridge of incidents will unfold. The doors will open. But only after you do the one thing most people never fully do. Believe it's already yours. Because the truth is this, you are not waiting on it, it's waiting on you to finally believe. Now we come to the most sacred moment of this journey. The moment where you stop listening and start declaring. Where you stop waiting and start being. Because there is a force in you right now, not tomorrow, not someday, right now, there is a power rising. It is the I am within you. The same power that spoke the world into existence. The same power that says, let there be, and there is. You've heard the teaching, you've understood the law, you now know the secret. Assume it's yours, and it will be. So now, speak it into being. This is not just affirmation. This is not a motivational chant. This is divine identity being claimed aloud. This is a shift in vibration, in awareness, in reality. Repeat after me, not with your voice alone, but with your whole being, your energy, your soul, your imagination, your heart. I now assume it is mine. Say it. I am no longer trying. I am no longer waiting. I am. I now dwell in the state of the wish fulfilled. I live from the end, because the end is already mine. And now close your eyes. Visualize it. Feel it. Step into it. Feel your body shifting as if the prayer is answered, because it is. Feel yourself standing in the reality you once only hoped for. Feel the confidence, the joy, the stillness, the knowing. This is no longer a goal, it's your identity now. You're not trying to attract it. You become. You see, the real change doesn't happen in the world first. It happens in the invisible realm of consciousness, and you've just shifted there. Stay here for a moment longer. Breathe as the person who already has what they once prayed for. Walk in that vibration. Move through your day in that energy. Let your posture change. Let your voice soften. Let your thoughts become clear. You've entered the end. And that's all that's ever required. Neville Goddard said, a change of feeling is a change of destiny. And you have changed your feeling. So your destiny, it is now catching up with your assumption. Do not worry about the how. The bridge of incidents will appear. You will be guided effortlessly, naturally. And when it happens, you know this came from my inner work, not out of struggle. So now, walk forward, not as a seeker, but as a possessor. Not as someone who hopes, but as someone who knows. Let this be the new truth in your being. I assume it is mine, and so it is. I am what I desire to be. I live in the end, and the world conforms to me. Let this truth echo throughout your soul. And remember, you are not here to chase. You are not here to earn. You are here to remember who you are. And who you are is the operant power. You speak it, and it comes to pass. You assume it, and it hardens into fact. You live it, and it becomes your world. So go now and live as if it's already done, because it is, and it always was.